I'd like to spend just a few minutes dispelling some of the myths that have misled our government down the wrong path in our competition with China on artificial intelligence. But first, I just want to say a word about what's at stake. Imagine if the question before you today was whether to sell China the propulsion systems that make our nuclear submarines stealthy, or to debate whether to sell China a prototype of our F-47 fighter so that they could reverse engineer it, or to help Beijing paralyze our power grids through cyber attacks. We'd all laugh at the premise that there's anything to debate. Yet the United States has effectively taken a step toward all those outcomes and more by relaxing export controls and preparing to sell China the advanced chips that they need to try to surpass us in artificial intelligence. The security implications are clear. Selling Nvidia's H200 chips to China will supercharge Beijing's military modernization, enhancing capabilities in everything from nuclear weapons to cyber warfare, autonomous drones, biological warfare, and intelligence and influence operations. It'll also help China's subsidized companies compete with American AI developers, putting at risk hundreds of billions of dollars in U.S. investment at precisely the moment that transformational capabilities are emerging. And AI isn't just a pivotal technology, it is the pivotal technology that will determine whether the United States and its allies or an axis of totalitarian regimes lead in virtually all technologies, military and commercial. President Trump has made clear he wants to win this competition. His team, however, may not be aware of how damaging the administration's decision to sell to China H200 is to that goal. The first task is to obliterate faulty arguments that have put U.S. policy on the wrong track. Myth number one is that China has nearly caught up to the United States. AI leadership boils down to who has the best engineers, the most data, the cheapest electricity, the most effective marketing, and crucially, the most powerful computers. China is making strides in most areas, but the United States holds an ace card. We have privileged access to the most powerful chips in the world. American companies design them. Friendly countries like South Korea and Taiwan produce them. And this is thanks in no small measure to President Trump's groundbreaking export controls in his first term. China's inability to produce advanced semiconductors at scale is the central bottleneck preventing it from overtaking us in AI. Oddly, some people argue that China is catching up so fast that we may as well lift the controls. Quote, China is nanoseconds behind America in AI, is how Nvidia's CEO put it last November. But China's own leaders are far less confident. Last April, China's ruler Xi Jinping instructed the Politburo to, quote, face up to the gap, close quote, in core AI technologies. In December, Beijing set aside nearly $70 billion more for chip subsidies on top of the $145 billion that they spent over the past decade or so. So these aren't the actions of a competitor only nanoseconds behind. They're signs of desperation. Just days ago, a top Alibaba AI scientist in China forecast that there's only about a 20% chance at best that the world's leading AI company will be Chinese in 5 years. The chief scientist at another Chinese AI company, Zhipu AI, noted that, quote, the gap may not be narrowing, it might even be widening, close quote. Leading Chinese chip company Huawei can make only a fraction the number of chips as its closest Western competitor and with only a fraction of the computing power. The second myth is that we can make China addicted to U.S. chips. Beijing utterly dismisses that premise. Quote, even if we introduce Nvidia chips, our determination to pursue independent innovation will remain unwavering, is how the vice chairman of China's Semiconductor Industry Association put it last week. He continued, quote, the purpose of importing those chips is to catch up better, and catching up will eventually lead to running alongside or even taking the lead, he said. In other words, Beijing views Nvidia chips just as a stopgap to help it leapfrog the United States. Finally, is the myth that we've already lost the AI race. This is, in some ways, the most dangerous myth, this idea that China's momentum is unstoppable and that America should accept decline. This is defeatism. America still holds the high ground. Our companies design the world's most advanced chips, and they dominate global cloud infrastructure. Here's quickly how to keep it that way. First, let China's leaders struggle to reinvent the wheel. If China wants to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to stay in second place on chip making, they should be our guest. The Soviets made the same mistake trying to replicate Ronald Reagan's Star Wars missile defense. Second, reverse the decision to sell China advanced AI chips. Congress needs to put guardrails in place so that this mistake can't be repeated. Third, get our allies to level up. The Netherlands and Japan still sell advanced semiconductor manufacturing equipment to China long after U.S. firms have been prohibited by Washington from the China market. So we need to push allies to match our export controls fully.